If you're like me and wondering what the hell Avowed the Outer Worlds was, then welcome on in, and I'm here to explain all because we've got some more additional details and even potentially a little sneaky peeky look at some in-game footage. So let's start at the beginning. It's made by Obsidian. If you don't know who they are, then I highly recommend that you check out Fallout New Vegas. The game is a first-person fantasy game set in the same universe as Pillars of Eternity. But instead of it being a traditional isometric game, this time you'll be taking the first-person experience to Eora, with people now saying that this is Obsidian's answer to Skyrim as it was the Outer Worlds to the Fallout games. So the game is promised to have, and I quote, a deep RPG exploration, so if you played the Outer Worlds series then you'll know what that entails, and also a brilliant narrative system. They also promised us multiple class systems, and they're also borrowing a lot of the ideas from Skyrim in terms of two-handed combat. If you play Skyrim, you'll know that you can have a sword in one hand and magic in the other, alternatively that you can have just two hands on a bow, or if you're a rogue for example, then you can have a dagger in each hand. If you're a fan of the Pillars of Eternity series, then you'll be familiar with some of the overlaps. They've included some of the wizard spells that you've seen before, including Jolting Touch, which if you didn't know what it was like me, which is essentially a lightning bolt that comes out your hand and you can use it to fry your enemies. One of the cool things about the whole spell system is that there's also two-handed spells as well as one-handed ones. So for example, the Fireball is a big two-handed spell which you can use to summon like a giant magma storm on your enemies. And if you're a fan of the status effects on spells, then there's a whole slew of them as well. One that was particularly noted was one called Fetid Caress, which basically imbues the enemies with poison. There's also a weapon enchantment system that they're putting in, so you can put different charms on your weapons and arrows, for example. So one that was particularly noted was frozen arrows. One of the notable differences between this and Skyrim, which makes it more in line with Pillars of Eternity, because after all it's in the same universe, is the fact that there are also musket-style weapons. So if you like a bit of wizardry and guns, then it's going to be right up your street. Now, unlike Elder Scrolls, they've also noted that it is going to be more loadout based. So in terms of being a melee character, basically you have like kicks and shield bashes and all sorts. But if you're a caster, then you have spell books which you use to customize and then tailor the way that you want to play. And then from there, depending on how you've tailored your spell book, it will bind the spell that you have to a particular button and then you use the button to cast it. In terms of what the game actually looks like, you've got about as much as I have, which is that short clip in the cave with the glowing hands and the sword and the ambient lighting in the background. And I gotta say, it looks absolutely beautiful. The Outer Worlds was a beautiful game and it is going to be running on the same engine, so lots of high hopes for that one. So in terms of actual being able to play this, it is currently in pre-alpha and only a few people have actually had a chance to take a look at it. Saying that, Obsidian are working towards having a playable version at the moment, but I'm guessing that's going to be an alpha state, and even then we're only going to have media outlets having a look at it rather than being able to play at it. Now when this actually comes out is a long way away, but there is speculation that we're going to be able to see more footage of this at E3, so fingers crossed for that one. Now, in terms of what this is actually going to be on, considering that Xbox owns Obsidian, I'm going to say that it is going to be an Xbox and PC release only for the time being. And I can also tell you that this is going to be on the Xbox Series X and S. So I think this is going to be the first next-gen title for the Xbox Series that we see, which is very exciting. Anyway, that's all the news I've got on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll be back with more news and reviews soon, so have a great week.